to another episode of Bitcoin in Asia from Bitcoin Magazine. I'm John Riggins, and our guest this week is Dr. Yuri Lee, Chief Business Officer of PeerTech out of Seoul. PeerTech is a part of Peer.com, a corporate group which includes the exchange GDAC, Korean Media Block and Press, and their economy conference, among other entities. We talk about the regulatory developments in Korea over the past year, including Korea's new tax plan regarding cryptocurrency and additional guidance for licensed exchanges there. GDAC, one of the main exchanges there in South Korea. We also talk about what the bear market has been like in Korea and signs and trends that she is seeing as we enter a new phase of the market. Peer has their hands in a lot of different parts of the ecosystem in Korea, and Yuri gives some great insight. It's a good conversation, and I hope you enjoy it. Yuri, hello. Welcome to the show.
Hi, John. Good to see you again.
Great to see you from the great city of Seoul. So for those who maybe aren't familiar with you yet, can you give us kind of a brief intro of yourself and where you are now?
Yeah, I'm Dr. Yuri Lee. I'm based in Seoul. I grew up in New York, but I've been in Seoul for more than 10 years, where the blockchain state is happening. And I represent Peer.com as a chief business officer. We do pretty much everything in the blockchain space. We host the economy, if you guys know.
For sure.
Conference. Yeah, it was the last one with Nuria Rubini and Vitalik's Fireside Chat was quite fun, right?
Some fireworks for sure.
We have highest traffic media in Korea, blockchainpress.com. Upground, working closely with one of the large conglomerate or chaebol in Korea, Hanwha Group, Upground. FinActor, one of the first research center focusing on blockchain. We have published several books, which is used as a reference to even Korea Bank, the Bank of Korea.
Okay.
But our core business is PeerTech. PeerTech is financial company, fintech company. We are focused on building everything that's necessary to use finance in blockchain. So starting with the cryptocurrency exchange GDAC.com. We also launched various different types of derivative products last year. We provide custodian service, and all has been quite well and steady. We have done a pretty good sales last year, even in the midst of the slowdown in this cryptocurrency market. We were able to still maintain good scene. Now we are one of the 6 major surviving cryptocurrency exchanges in Korea. They're getting more than 200, 300. But now only the 6th has a stable fiat window, Korean won positive control. And the biggest essence that we focused on was the corporate institutional investors, unlike other exchanges. So most of the conglomerates, corporate institutional investors are on board as our corporate clients to GDAC. They are also allowed to do Korean won deposit and withdrawal, which they cannot do in other major exchanges like Upbit or Bitum because of their relationship with the banks. But we have close relationship with Korea Post Bank, which is a quasi-government bank, and we use escrow account to cover corporate clients. So like even Hyundai, the Hyundai Motors, they have their tokens. They have quite high interest in crypto market. They have been on board on GDAC as our client, and also other companies like Kakao or Tanal, which is the largest mobile payment company. Hyosung, which is also the major company that deals with most of the ATM machines in Korea. They're all on board as our GDAC clients, and
interesting.
Also onboarding their issued tokens as well as a project list.
All right. Hey, coming in hot to start. Back to, so you mentioned kind of that bear market and the growth of the number of exchanges, and now down to a dwindling few that are surviving and thriving still. It kind of takes us back to that bull run of a couple years ago and through the bear market. Just kind of give us a little bit more context for how kind of deep the bear market has been in just the last couple of years, kind of the ups and downs of that. Just give us a little bit more color for it.
Yeah, speaking of the bear market, it was not just in Korea, right? It was global.
Of course.
Bear. Korea, however, of course the ICO market was dying down, and there were no new amazing projects for attracting investors, the retail investors. But that was not just the only reason how Korea was quite at a cautious state in the market. It was the regulation that was still unclear. For us, PureTech, we've been working hard with the government to come up with the regulation. And the good news is that we now finally have the regulation ready, which is now going to be in acts from March next year. So with that now, the cryptocurrency exchanges need license to deal with crypto. It's not the cryptocurrency exchanges, but any company that deals with cryptocurrency trading or etc. Even like consulting firms or the funds based in Korea, they will now need to get the license to deal with crypto. With that, the hurdle has become much higher for any companies to deal with crypto. So that's another reason why many of the cryptocurrency exchanges have closed down their business, because there are two major things that they need to prepare. First is the ISMS license, which is Korean government given like ISO standard, high security standard they have to meet. And that's very costly to prepare for.
And what's the body that's deciding these things and finalizing these policies? Is it the central bank? Is it a different kind of financial regulatory body?
Financial authority, but the regulation, of course, came from the National Assembly, but the financial authority will decide who gets the license next March.
So that process of, you mentioned that you had been in touch, working with regulators to draft these things, I guess. So you're working with the assembly specific members that are focused on this project specifically. Y'all, how much back and forth is there? Is it really pretty collaborative between them and kind of the main companies there?
Yeah, they're like blockchain association in Korea as well. We are also playing a very active role there. Government officials, of course, as for in any countries, do not have very in-depth understanding of this industry. So coming up with the regulation, there were lots of hurdles, as they obviously just do not understand too well about this industry. And as for any countries, their biggest concern is to protect the nationals from the potential investment, fraud or etc. in this. As for the economy, I don't know if you remember, we hosted even the regulatory talks of gathering all the government officials, politicians related or are interested in or outspoken in this topic. And actually, just the day after the economy, they were able to come up with a kind of suggestive regulation to the National Assembly. And since then, it kind of built up, and the details have built up together with Kim and Jang, one of the major law firm in Korea. And the outcome of the regulation, we believe, is quite clear and as we expected. And first big hurdle, as I mentioned, is ISMS, and the second hurdle is big hurdle for many crypto exchanges, more so than ISMS. ISMS, maybe if you invest a lot of money, you'll get it.
Okay.
But the second is that you need a virtual account from the bank. So it's really up to the bank that you cooperate with. And you need to have that agreement with the bank to get the virtual accounts where you can identify the identity of the users. So focused on KYC.
Okay.
And that's really up to how you make a relationship with the banks, and not many crypto exchanges have it. Not many crypto exchanges have the fiat window to begin with, but the virtual account is another layer. So in that regard,
and how many exchanges have that fiat window now? You said 6.
The stable ones, the 6. Yeah.
Would you include Binance in that six? I know they've had a little bit of
Their finance Korea, they're having difficult time. They tried with several banks and they have been blocked.
And then, so the bank that you're working with, is it the situation where there are a couple of crypto-friendly banks that everyone's using, or is it more about those relationships actually at a higher level and trust between kind of the management teams going back?
The trust between the two entities, the banks and the cryptocurrency exchange, because the reason why banks are quite cautious about opening the accounts for cryptocurrency exchanges is obviously the AML and KYC issue. So they would have to really trust on how you operate your business, on the potential inflows and outflows, how you control. And the voice phishing is also biggest problem in Korea. A lot
voice
of
phishing.
The scams, the frauds.
Interesting.
So that's a big headache for banks if the money comes in and if the clients file for complaint.
Got it.
They do that as much as possible. And for GDOC, we were able to block all the voice phishing since July last year. So the relationship with the bank is very nice and steady. Yeah. If there are any attempts for fraud of such, we have a hotline built up with the Korea Post Bank's headquarters. So we are in good shape there.
Yeah. And there have been some high profile, not just, kind of phishing attacks and fraud like that, but, loss of funds hacks, I guess, of exchanges in Korea, I guess, sort of while some of this regulation was being drafted. So this law is coming into effect next March. Anything else that's relevant with that outside of those two things, the license and the AML?
He changed lately, just this week. Now we have the taxation ready for crypto, which is
that was the big news, I guess, out of Korea this week is this 20% tax. Yeah, explain, I guess, that a little bit of background and then what exactly the law means.
Now the government will levy tax on crypto incomes. They will define it as other incomes, as just part of any other intangible assets. So it's 20%. Mm-hmm. But here, obviously, in crypto, there is P2P trading. But what this law is saying is it's really giving more burdens for the crypto exchanges, but we have to have all the data on their trading and profit and loss, and 20% on that. So we have to work very closely as a centralized exchange.
Yeah. And so for context, what is the tax outside of crypto for trading income, capital gains?
It's progressive tax in Korea. So from 22 or 3% for very low size income and up to about 40 to 50, similar to other countries.
Yeah. And so why hadn't crypto incomes and profits from trading been taxed before? And is this something that kind of legitimizes the business in a bigger way also, outside of just being kind of a negative thing of, all right, now we have to, account for all these taxes?
I guess this really, it depends on the perspectives, but from our perspective, this clearly defines that Korean government will now place this digital assets or crypto within the boundary of regulation and their control. So for us, it's a good thing. We're trying to define it. We're not trying to do any scam, blurry business. And what we need is, as I told you earlier, what we are interested in is coming up with financial product that's cheaper, easier, and has a better, income provision for our GDOC users. So it's definitely good news for us.
And that's something that's going into effect now, or also next March?
It's 1st of October next year. It was just introduced. So they would have at least like 1 year plus grace period. So we also expect a lot of trades to happen for people to just sell.
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of internal processes to get set up for everyone who's dealing with these things. So it's good that you all have that window. All right, all interesting. Any other kind of takeaways from the bear market in terms of kind of where you're seeing sentiment now versus maybe last year. You come from from an interesting angle, being on the exchange side, in terms of the companies that are under y'all's umbrella, the media side. What else are you kind of seeing trend wise of bear market to now?
Another biggest news in Korea was that, Kakao Talk is like really monopolized mobile messenger in Korea, right? And they have their blockchain company called GroundX, and they have came up with their own mainnet called Clayton, and they have their token Clay, which in Korea we also call it Kakao Coin. GDAC was the first exchange to list Korean won pairs for the Kakao Coin Clay. With that, they also launched Clip Wallet, which is a wallet embedded on Kakao Talk. Here, you can just send all your users any crypto that's onboarded the Clay to begin with, and their KCTs, their like version of ERC20s. They call it BFs, not DEPs, but those tokens are onboarded on Clays. And that's a huge thing for Korea. It's now the hurdle is very low. We don't have to put that wallet address, or you don't have to put any private keys. Just as a bank transfer to your friends on Kakao, it's just very simple way to transfer this crypto assets. And even payment-wise, I mentioned briefly the Tana is the biggest mobile payment company. They also issued their token PCI. They listed on GDAC as well. And now the token is used at all the major convenience stores, bookstores, or even fast food stores. It's now pretty much widely used. So this crypto asset in Korea has been not just for the investors, how it was like in few years ago. It's now really for the general public. I mentioned that we can onboard corporate clients. We now even have nonprofit organizations signing up as a corporate client. They receive crypto as donation, so they would need to liquidate GDAC at the Korean won pair and file for tax or accounting, etc. So it's now. It was the era that we were waiting for, right? It's now being like
it feels like it is. It feels like it is.
Yeah. Now we use the term digital assets. When they introduced the regulation, they called it virtual assets in Korean. So the license, when I mentioned, it's now going to be called the license to deal with virtual assets. Here, we prefer digital assets than virtual assets. And now Korean government
that's more common globally, digital assets.
And STO is also allowed under financial sandbox in Korea. So there are several cases already in place for property and art. The volume is quite big for the buildings or the real estate funds that are being part of the SEO projects. So the regulation being in place, Korea was a bit slower than any other countries in Asia or worldwide, but the speed of catching up with this projects that we were talking about at the conference is actually happening in real life.
Yeah. All exciting. As more of a Bitcoiner, I would look at some of those things as that's interesting. What are you what about you all's kind of Bitcoin and BTC Korean won pairs? How are those trending? And are you seeing kind of inbound institutional interest more so for on the Bitcoin side? Give us a little bit more of the insight of the Bitcoin side of all that, I guess.
Let's get into PeerPay then.
Yeah, let's go.
So we introduced the PeerPay B2C payment of crypto platform that our B2B clients can use. The first launch was at hospitals, where we have a lot of foreigners coming in to get a medical treatment in Korea.
Yeah.
Also, an airline company that deals with a lot of foreign travelers as well. As mentioned earlier, with the COVID situation, it's lower as we cannot have much foreigners coming in to travel or
Right.
have them treatment in Korea. But when we introduce the payment solution, of course, the Bitcoin is still the crypto that has the highest liquidity that can pay more than millions per second. So our payment solution to the B2B client is very simple. They will just receive Korean won immediately at the payment that they make. That's why all this our clients who actually do not know of crypto are still okay adding that payment solution to their payments. Because for clients, because of the cross-border transaction or the limitation of the credit card limits, for them to use Bitcoin as a payment in Korea is simpler and much cheaper.
Yeah.
So Bitcoin still is the major crypto to be used as the payment in this scene.
Yeah, that's interesting. And the use case for foreigners coming in and their visits to the hospital for those things and travel. That's interesting. So you've touched on a couple of the business lines under PureTech and under kind of the umbrella there. Can you talk a little bit more about GDAC and we've kind of had the context for the regulatory side, kind of the competitive landscape of exchanges there now. So we have the six. Can you talk a little bit about kind of is there a difference in kind of the range of services offered? Where does GDAC sit in all of that, I guess?
Yeah, mentioned that 6 crypto exchanges are having the stable fiat window, but the business that they're focusing on is quite different. A bit of this, they have a lot of retail investors on board. They do have a lot of trading volume in the market, but what they cannot offer is the corporate clients Korean won deposit and withdrawal because of the limitation of their relationship with the banks in maintaining the virtual account for their Korean won window. But for stock, we have been from the beginning focusing a lot on onboarding corporate clients, retail investors also, but corporate clients. And we are allowed to bring in for their Korean won deposit and withdrawal using our Korea Postbank's escrow account. So with that inflow, what we are also focusing on is to provide the window for them to invest legitimately on cryptocurrency. So they can't just buy Bitcoin from the market, but what we want to, in the future with the license, want to provide is like what Grayscale does in the States, like ETN or ETF. At this point, in Korea, we cannot offer yet, but we are building it. We are the only cryptocurrency exchange or any blockchain company that's partnered to securities firm in Korea. With that securities firm, we are trying to, move ahead and prepare for what we can do to onboard institutional investors much more conveniently, as how Grayscale has done.
And when you say a relationship with a securities firm, can you give a little bit more detail on why that's a unique thing to you all and what it really kind of operationally means?
It's the regulation issues. We cannot issue or trade securities, obviously. Even if we get the license, we will be able to deal with crypto assets, but we cannot issue what is security. To issue like Korean version of ETN or ETF, we will need to use their license together, and we will be able to introduce all these investors, institutional investors. So for as of now, we're trying to find a win. We're working as a referral representative to foreign overseas products for them to invest instead of just holding Bitcoin itself. But we're trying to also introduce that product in Korea.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, something to be watching out for sure. Any thoughts on timeline for that? You probably can't share too much there.
We're hoping at least mid next year.
Okay.
And Korea has been very fast in adoption of such. As for the States, now the banks are allowed to provide custody service for crypto assets, right? In Korea, there are sandbox cases like Bushan Bank is now able to provide custody for STO tokens. And I think that day will come very soon as well in Korea. So
interesting.
Next year.
Yeah. I mean, definitely one of the more bullish things to happen in the U.S. in the last couple of weeks was that coming about. So interesting that's kind of in process maybe in Korea too. Is that by chance the bank that you all work with for your fiat gateway in those accounts? The bank that's
Korea Post, it's a little bit more conservative. They're more on the B2C side, but we are in talks with other major banks to provide the service. I think all of them are already quite interested in. They're investing in the area as well. PeerTech, we are also on our way to IR too, and now that was their key point, how they want to invest, as we have a patent on like keys and custody and etc. in Korea, but that's also on the way.
Yeah, it's I feel like it's certainly bullish to be in a good position with kind of that expert custody ability and track record when these banks do start looking to roll their own offerings out. So interesting to hear. And then I guess kind of the rest of 2020, 2021, anything else we can look forward to in Korea? What do you see happening with Bitcoin if we do kind of really hit momentum and have a bull run here? And then for PeerTech and GDAC, like how are y'all thinking about your business in the next bull cycle?
As of now, as I mentioned, we are just fully focused on getting the license in March. We're very positive on receiving the license. The company structure also is the key point the government is scrutinizing on. I'll not get into too much detail, but some of the crypto exchanges have their shareholders or the CEOs having a criminal records or problem legally, and that plays also a very negative point for license. We're just very completely clean.
Good way to stay. Yeah.
Very clean. The investors we are going to welcome will be only the financial institutions or the largest venture capitals. It's underway, and we are welcoming them for SIs to also push on getting the license together with, and also having us to have a meaningful market share together, cooperating. So that's what we are focused on for the next year. And what we are thinking is that by around mid next year, we'll be able to also come up with all those financial products, not just the trading, but also the actual legalized derivative products to investment funds, etc. So we're just really focused on that to make sure that we become the first mover in this market.
Yeah, very much an institutional focus. I guess one thing that kind of stands out in terms of kind of Korea adoption of crypto things in Korea in the last bull run. We heard numbers like 60% of the country owns some type of cryptocurrency. That I'm sure there's a lot of disillusionment with kind of the bear market. What I guess any insights into kind of your more institutional focus, but retail sentiment, what you kind of hear there? Is it and then kind of are there any kind of factors that are unique to Korea at play that you think are relevant as we enter, I guess, another bull run here?
Well, in this call, I mentioned about a lot of B2B business that we focus on, but we are also very heavy on B2C as well.
Hmm.
We are not just listing any tokens in the market, so we're not listing like 3 tokens a week like a Peter Bisson does. But
Hmm.
if you look at our projects, it's very general public focused projects. Now that's 60%. Now we can say 90% because Kakao
Cacao.
they did up on their Kakao Talk, meaning that whoever owns Kakao Talk, they probably have digital assets, even though they don't even know that it's tokens. It's like
Right.
just recognize it as a point or something. And I mentioned the Tana PCI coin that you can use in like convenience store. People
Yep.
don't know crypto, so
Yeah.
it's pretty much just embedded. And the reason why we onboard those tokens is we are more focused on bringing the general public in the market, in the scene. So the user base, the user number for GDAC is pretty much, I would say, like 70-80% of the Korea. They would not even need to know that it's a crypto, but they're already using it in their daily lives because it gives them like 10%, 20% discount on their spending, like on
Hmm.
coupon or like Ticket Monster, which is like Korean version of Amazon. They're already using it in the market. Um, Having said that, yes, in terms of the retail, the scene is quite different. It's not about making like 5x or 10x with the crypto investment in ICO projects.
Yeah.
That's
Thankfully.
kind of not, but it's just dealing with the legitimate, um, you know, product and services.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. And then kind of the macro environment, I guess, in the world. Something we talk about a lot in the U.S. Central bank money creation, and with COVID kind of shutting down a lot of business, kind of macro factors in Korea, and is in terms of like Bitcoin as a store of value. Are you seeing any trends there? What are kind of have you has there been kind of a clear any kind of clear macro trends in terms of what anything with real estate, Bitcoin? How does kind of Bitcoin fit into that in your view now in the macro environment in Korea?
You
Kind of
know,
a roundabout way of asking that.
my background is finance, right? I started
Hmm.
as an investment banker in Macquarie. I also worked in a commercial bank as a relationships manager. I've been receiving these reports about Bitcoin since like 2010.
Yeah,
Then I remember the bankers were like, not sure what that is. Is it going to
sure.
disappear? But I remember also many traders were buying Bitcoin then and
Hmm.
made a good exit. They're no longer bankers. Um, we also have a lot now with the Bitcoin boom in the 2017. Everyone has had experience of investing in Bitcoin, and they've seen the good trends of how it's still maintaining its value.
Hmm.
And of course, there were a bit of ups and downs, but not as much. And Korea's central bank also announced that they will also issue their digital currency, as for China, for many other countries as well. And we are, as mentioned, we are closely in talks with a lot of institutional investors. And the reason why we are focused on coming up with ETN product is that they also still yet not want to invest directly on Bitcoin,
Hmm.
but their interest is very high, like in the States. So we are trying to provide a very easy, approachable window for them to hold Bitcoin. So
Hmm.
therefore, ETN. So in terms of the macro trend, obviously and definitely, the major large universities, for example, I'm also a professor. We have
Okay.
graduate school for blockchain. A lot of master's degrees related to blockchain in Korea. So macro side, definitely the general public, the interest to actually hold Bitcoin, study blockchain is very high.
Yeah. What's your doctorate in, by the way?
It's finance. Yeah, yeah. I'm also CEO on nonprofit foundation. if you remember.
Oh, I do. Yeah. Well, they all these titles just keep popping up for the last hour though. Yeah, I do remember. Um, all right. All very cool. All very cool. Would you point out or hold up any of the partners that you work with for comments that other companies in Korea that maybe are up and coming that aren't quite known yet that people should watch out for? Investors to be aware of, or other groups that you work with?
Well, recently we've been having lots of funds, the property funds, to be specific, having interest in issuing STO. The real estate market in Korea has always been very active. Government trying to control the ups and downs of it.
Yeah.
But Koreans are still conservative, but also very innovative, meaning they all want to still hold tangible assets, but also tangible 50-50. So all this property funds has been showing a lot of interest in working with us to get the financial sandbox, which we see recently has been not too difficult to be found category to test the innovative financial products. So that's the recent happenings that we have been encountering with. The major companies, whether it's Samsung, LG, or SK, they all have their blockchain division, right? Samsung has their mainnet Next Ledger, as you know. In terms of blockchain technology, it's pretty much spread in every sector, whether it's a government entities or the private entities or even non-profit entities. But crypto side, because of the fact that there is no regulation in place, they're still taking a step back. The corporates were trying to not talk about crypto tokens. They were to issue till then, but starting next March, I'm sure all these large corporates will have their license right away, and they will not with crypto assets. So I'm very excited for the scene to watch out for. It's not going to be small or new startups dealing with cryptos. It would be now like Samsung and LG from then.
All right, we're just kicking off. And then final question is a fun one. A recommendation. So we end with a recommendation for maybe someone who hasn't been to Korea yet. Can be a restaurant, can be a place in the city to see, a museum, can be a movie. I saw that there's a new crypto-focused TV series coming out in Korea this fall too. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but a recommendation for people who for Seoul.
Well, Korea is a very clean COVID country already. You still need
we can go there now. We just have to quarantine for 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, quarantine for 2 weeks at a facility, or if you have a residence, that'll be fine. We have like outbreaks of like 1 or 2 per day now, so it's very clean. And if you are interested in crypto, definitely in the Gangnam area. All the crypto companies are still in the Gangnam area, as we are right on the
on the corner. Yeah.
You walk around, be able to see all the key members still that are in the market. And even at the restaurants, I still encounter with other crypto companies or etc. Gangnam area, the restaurants, several. I think you can message me on Facebook. I will give you a list of places to go.
Perfect place to go. I'm embarrassed to say the last time I was there at that intersection, I grabbed Shake Shack, which not the most local food to get. But I think I was trying to get to your office or someone else's office. But there's a Shake Shack there for anyone who. I just had Shake Shack tonight is why I'm thinking about that. I have my Shake Shack box next to me. But all right, message you on Facebook. How else can people get in touch with you or follow the company? So Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook is the easiest. I'm on LinkedIn as well. So you can find me, Yuri, Youree. the very special limited edition of Yuri version.
All right. Good stuff. Well, thanks for all the insight, and we'll have to do it again when there's more news. Quick reminder, all of the content in this episode is for informational purposes only. You should not construe any such information or other material as legal, tax, investment, financial, or other advice. Nothing contained in this presentation constitutes a solicitation, recommendation, endorsement, or offer by BTC Media, the Let's Talk Bitcoin podcast network, or any third-party service provider to buy or sell any securities or other financial instruments.